This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Hey Tony, we've talked a lot about 1986, and of course that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be watching season 2, episode 39 from October 4th, 1986. And Magnum TA, unfortunately, his life is going to change just 10 days after this airs.
Yeah.
And I kind of forgot the date. I had mistakenly remembered it as being just a few days after this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is our next to last World Championship Wrestling episode with Magnum before the accident.
Right.
It's just hard to imagine that we've had this much fun in 1986 and just week after week, nearly every week, we have been blown away by his promos. And he's just been Goldberging motherfuckers. Just, he has these squash matches on the show here that we're watching, and they last just a handful of seconds and they're over with the belly to back. But then we would go and have footage from not a studio show, but an arena. And man, when he would do a run in with Dusty, good Lord, the place went, as Pat Patterson would say, banana. He really is at the peak of his career. And as the legend goes, the original plan was him to face Ric Flair for the world title at Starrcade. And it's all going to change in just 10 days.
It's a tragedy on many levels because of what he could do in the ring, but he's a good guy. Magnum and I still do stay in touch with each other on a regular basis, mostly texting. He has been able to move on with his life. Obviously, it happened a long time ago. And I remember after the accident, he told me that he was laying on his back and he knew that his life was changing because he knew that, what had happened. Kind of. I mean, he was, had a lot of painkillers in him but he was immobile. And he said, I was just laying on my back and I was watching this small TV screen that they had for me right in front of my face. And he said, I couldn't move left or right. I just had to stare at that TV screen the entire time. And I'm watching TV and I'm watching the programs that are on, thinking about my life. And he said it was I just decided that I was going to try to make the best of my life, which I think he did. He went on to, and I know this show is not about Magnum. I know we can talk about him a little bit more down the road here, but he became an assistant booker for Dusty. He always had a great mind for the business, but he was a friend, and it did change things around on what is, and I guess a lot of people use the word arguably, but I don't think it's any argue to this. What was the best year ever for Jim Crockett Promotions, despite what happened to their number one star, number one babyface. We mentioned turning Nikita babyface because of it. There's been some talk, it was a good idea, bad idea. He went from this super heel to this not so super baby face. But what do you do in that case, right? You got to do something. But it was, it's funny. We've been talking about New York City and the Arthur Ashe Stadium, and now we're talking about Magnum, and just the emotions that I've had in this business throughout the years have been something. Makes me think of my own career. When you think about Magnum, you think about, I think you think about your life, and you think about how fragile life is and how your life could change on a dime. And he and I are the same age. And and Magnum and I talked a lot before this happened. We would have in-depth conversations about women, about the business. So I missed those talks after the accident because he was a good conversationalist. It's coming up. It's coming up, and the Night of the Skywalkers coming up with Jim Cornette plunging off the scaffold, so to speak. blowing out his knee. Yeah, good stuff. What a downer, man.
It is a downer.
Yeah.
But listen, there's more good stuff on the way. We should also mention the story has a happy ending. He became very successful in business and life afterwards, and
Right.
obviously had a very successful marriage and still does,
Mm-hmm.
and became a big part of a very special young lady's life. And
Mm-hmm.
it does not have, maybe it wasn't the storybook ending we hoped in wrestling, but his life, Terry Allen's life, could not ever be classified as a disappointment.
Mm-mm.
So it has a happy ending, and we hope that's the best we can hope for is a long life and a happy ending. And
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.